Tonight, if you're watching Weekend, odds are you're a bit of a news junkie, and I'd like to let you in on one of our trade secrets. There are hundreds of journalists working in newsrooms around the Midwest, and the nation for that matter, who are trained by the same man. Henry Lippold's been teaching journalism at UW-Eau Claire for 29 years, and I'm proud to say he was, and in some respects still is, my teacher. HL, as we call him, is retiring this month, ready to fade to black on this portion of his career, so it seemed a perfect time to visit the man who launched so many journalists into the world. Henry Lippold has never been a conventional teacher, but then again, turning kids into journalists isn't easy.
But my first rule is to think. Think. Start thinking when you get the assignment.
HL's classes are marked by a combination of intensity and practicality.
This is a wide shot. And then we could be in your face.
Or in Henry's case, on the floor. What better way for a 72-year-old professor to make his point to a group of 20-somethings?
Parade coming right at you, and usually they won't step on you.
For Henry, it's all part of a day's work.
Well, sometimes a certain amount of lethargy develops in the students, and you do have to do something that is going to arouse their interest, and so we try that. And some of the lecture courses, it's a little more difficult. I don't want to do anything that's too outlandish. So what are we starting with? Earth Day, but that happened last Saturday.
Oh, well, I don't know.
For nearly 30 years, Lippold's advanced journalism students have produced Update, their own bi-weekly live TV newscast, a newscast that reflects their mentor's own philosophy.
There's no sitting around waiting for the story to happen. You get out there and you find it and you do it, and if you're not running to get there, he's going to make you run to get there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That philosophy of working hard to get the news is at the core of the lesson, along with instilling a sense of responsibility in what it means to be a reporter.
It takes an interest in what's going on, what's happening. You have to have this interest. And as we sometimes tell the students, you can't be a 22-year-old or 20-year-old person. You are an 84-year-old person and also a child of 10. You are a woman, you are a man. You've got to be interested in the things that are affecting everybody's lives, and that's pretty hard. It'll only take about 10 minutes.
To get a true picture of Lippold's impact as a teacher, you have to consider not only the 29 years at Eau Claire, but the 13 years teaching journalism in Illinois before that. Lippold has taught hundreds of journalists how to do their job. What does it mean to you when somebody stays in journalism?
When they stay in journal, then it means that you're sort of living on. You're going on because you have to sort of live through your students. It's a kind of, that's the kind of situation it is. Vicarious, that's the word I'm looking for.
Mike Rindo is a Lippold protege. Now the dean of news anchors in western Wisconsin, Rindo has never lost touch with his mentor.
Henry Lippold is, first of all, I think a character. He is the kind of person that leaves an imprint on your mind and on your soul.
In an era when most television news is deservedly criticized for lowering standards, Rindo says Lippold's philosophy of pushing the bar higher is even more appropriate.
Don't worry as much about being first as being right. And at the same time, very competitive, because he would sit there during Update and compare the Update broadcast, or cable cast, I guess, to what the network affiliates were doing. We had that, we had that, we had that. They didn't have this.
Firm gives resident range to downtown. We had it. We got it.
What HL also has is a record, a history of every student who ever sat in the man's classroom.
You didn't see your own grade.
Jerry, you gave me an A-.
Must have been some flaw.
If Lippold graded broadcast news as a whole, he says maybe a B. Not a bad grade, but one that leaves room for improvement.
Accuracy, fairness, completeness. That's one of the things that sometimes worries me about broadcast journalism. The two words, we've got enough. Well, you may not have enough. And keep at it a little bit more. I mean, sure, you got enough for a 1-minute story. You got a bite, and you got something, but I like to stick in there and get more details.
The city of Eau Claire is taking a serious look at redeveloping the downtown area.
Lippold has been the driving force behind Eau Claire's broadcast journalism department for what seems like forever. Not only does he teach, but fills in on crew when he's needed.
Henry?
Yes?
Do you know how long the downtown development's been around?
Yeah, 110 or 115.
God, I'm gonna go insane.
We need someone to make the camera shots down
HL
there.
will
Is
step
there anybody
aside
on
in
the
about
floor?
2 weeks because he says it's time to give another teacher a chance. But when that last update broadcast is over, Lippold says it won't be the end.
It will be a wrenching moment, but I'll wrench myself free and move on. But you can't be totally free because you're always going to be linked to all those young persons and to their careers and successes in life. And so I'll keep up that interest. You can't just turn your back on it. It's part of you. There, look, we did find it. It's beautiful. Gorgeous. Ha ha ha.